The response to my video restoration project from yesterday appears to be pretty positive, and so I'm doing it again here now. This time I've run the video through Audacity and a noise filter, so I think the audio this time is even a little bit better than before. In any case, here's my old video from 2007 called Purpose Without God. Hi. In a previous video I discussed a little bit about how one can be moral and not believe in God. In this video I'd like to share some of my thoughts about how one can be an atheist and still find purpose and meaning in human existence. But first let's spell out the problem as it is commonly understood.
Here is the famous poem Ozymandias by Percy Shelley. I think it does the job pretty well, especially the last 5 lines. My name is Ozymandias, king of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. The common notion is that against the vast span of time and space, the works of human hands are ultimately meaningless. Even the greatest people in their works amount to nothing when compared against infinity. Time beats down every monument and every mountain. In the end, isn't everything that we do in this life just sound and fury signifying nothing? Or as Kansas put it, are we all just dust in the wind?
Well, maybe you might be a bit surprised, but I actually agree with the sentiment. In fact, I think it is self-evident and irrefutable. When you compare the individual existence of any one person against the totality of the universe or the eternity of time, it really is insignificant. But I also want to point out that this observation applies regardless of whether you believe in God or not. What differs between the theist and the non-theist is our approach to dealing with the issue. So first, let's take a look at the standard religious perspective.
Nearly all religions offer a solution that, even though human life may seem insignificant, actually we humans have some kind of grand cosmic purpose. And that, maybe, death really isn't the end. Your essence or consciousness can somehow carry on. It is much as Paul wrote in his first epistle to the Corinthians. Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Yada, yada, yada. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? But I'm sure you've heard all this before.
So, the religious answer to this dilemma is to offer a sort of an escape clause. If you are faithful, or good, or believe in the proper things, then you might be eligible for this purported grand cosmic purpose. In most cases, that means that after you die, you get to go to a heaven of some kind. Well, perhaps, but I think there are at least 3 significant problems with adopting this point of view.
First, there's the obvious problem of which religion do you choose. If you get it wrong, you'll likely miss out on the post-death reward, or even worse, end up getting punished by God. Of course, there's always Pascal's wager. This is the common argument that you may as well take a chance on one of the tens of thousands of religions throughout human history and hope that you just happen to get it right. Because hey, what have you got to lose? I mean, other than your supposed soul, of course. Well, if this version of spiritual roulette appeals as an argument to you, may I suggest that you at least consider the following scenario.
If there really is a God who intends to reward people after they die, is it not at least plausible that he has organized things such that only those who learn to think for themselves and see through all the man-made religions are those who might be eligible for a place in his heaven? Note that, if this were the case, it would be a much more logical and equitable arrangement than the notion that God is only saving those who happen to be born at the right place and at the right time, to the right parents, with access to the right religion. Because after all, not everyone is born of, say, Muslim parents, but nearly everyone has the capacity for reason. Well, it's something to think about.
Believing that this life is just a layover before the important stuff may lead some people to devalue human life and endeavors. Why worry too much about anything like injustice in this life if God is just going to straighten everything out in the next? People who believe this may simply end up waiting around to die and not really accomplishing much of anything. For them, life becomes one long, extended death watch. Or worse, maybe true believers will see the next life as so important that they'll seek to hasten death either for themselves or for others. Finally, if you do live so that you put your religion first in hopes of achieving heaven, you can end up investing quite a bit in that hope. The deal is, you don't get your full reward until after you die. When you think about it, it's a pretty good scheme that many religious leaders have got going. Just give me your time, your money, and your loyalty now, and I promise you that you'll get huge rewards on that investment after you die. Well, just a friendly little reminder here. The dead can't come back to collect refunds.
Okay, so that's a little bit of criticism for the theist position. Basically, all of their solutions have the same common thread, and that is that when you die, you don't really die. Which, now that I think about it, isn't so much a solution as it is a denial of the original problem. But in any case, let's move on and look at some atheist, denial-free potential answers.
First, let's agree that, for an atheist at least, death really is death, as sad as that may be. And as I said earlier, let's also embrace the obvious fact that human efforts really are quite meaningless when measured against the universe. But wait just a second. A question springs to mind here. Who said that we should use the whole universe as a measuring stick of human meaning anyway? If you investigate a little, you'll see that it's those same guys who are selling you that post-death return on investment plan. It is always religious people who tell you that, without their religion, you're going to die and you're going to miss out on heaven or whatever their grand cosmic purpose might be. They tell you that if you don't bet their number on the spiritual roulette wheel, your life will be sad, empty, worthless, and void. But is that really true? In your own life, when you hug your kids or hang out with your friends, do you think, well, this is great, but it sure doesn't mean anything to the people of 1066 AD or to the pulsar in the heart of the Crab Nebula? Of course you don't think that. Your happiness is unrelated to such distant things.
Obviously, human actions, when measured against the context of all time and space, are insignificant. Duh! It's a ridiculous context to measure against. It's simply a shell game that's been designed by those who are peddling religion to make you feel worthless and empty. They're selling you both the disease and the cure. Wouldn't a much more reasonable context for figuring out human meaning be thinking about how your actions relate to humanity? Isn't that actually what you care about in your day-to-day living anyway? Now then, within this more reasonable context, there are at least 3 good vectors for helping you find meaning and value in your life.
First, there is your local value. This is your immediate impact on those people you interface with regularly. This would include your work, your friends, and your family. You can be a dramatic force in any one of these areas. Even better, because you're involved, you can see that you are making a difference. Second, you've got contingent value. This would be the impact that you make that you may not even be aware of. We're all tied into a great big network of causality and relationships. No matter how small a part you think you may play, you do play a part. And finally, there's the notion of extended value. This would be your own personal legacy. Whatever you do in your life, it is highly likely that at least a little something of it will outlast you. Maybe it'll be your children, or some project you worked on, or a song you wrote, or a charity you helped, or whatever. Maybe it's even that inadvertent matchmaking you did at the supermarket. Nice job on that, by the way. Anyway, just like the ripples of what you do extend out through the social network of the present day, they also can extend down through the eons of time, maybe in ways that you don't expect and couldn't anticipate. Shakespeare was just another playwright in his time. Socrates didn't pen a single word, but his student Plato was so impressed by him that his teachings became effectively immortal.
Which brings us back to Shelley, who incidentally was an atheist himself. Now then, I think there's a certain level of irony to Shelley's poem. Even though almost nothing was left of Ozymandias' empire, that fact, that almost nothing was left, is what inspired Shelley to write his famous poem. And that poem in turn has influenced literature and music, and even to a degree this little video that you're watching right now. So I suppose that Ozymandias' legacy ended up enduring even beyond his wildest dreams. And who knows, maybe your legacy will too. In any case, thank you for listening.